what's your podcast about? Man, I don't even know how to answer that question. It's about conversation. It's about speaking with people and having dialogue about, things that are going on around us, things that we see in society, and just having our opinion on those things and meeting different people and speaking with them, getting to know them, getting to see how different individuals think, how different individuals see life. That's what the podcast is really about, and that's what you're tuned in, hosted by the one and only Uncle Kevin.
Yo, what up, guys? Welcome back to the podcast. Today I'm joined by Apidi. She's an entrepreneur, community builder, and that's where we start from today. What does it mean to be a community builder?
Be a community. Well, first of all, hello.
Hello.
Thank you for having me. To be a community builder basically means to be active in trying to foster and build community in your area or in your community at large, which might be, for example, being African Canadian, people from the diaspora. So that's just a general explanation.
Yeah.
But there's a lot more to it, of course.
And what made you want to be? Because not everybody was like people just were individualistic, right?
Right.
What made you want to be like a community builder?
Well, my whole life I've kind of been around communities, so I've seen the importance of it and how people thrive from being in the community. Also, my parents, they're human rights activists, so I've had that added benefit of being able to travel the world with my dad to different conventions, fighting for different human rights stuff. And as well, in every setting, there was always people of every different socioeconomic background and ethnic background, all coming together, calling each other brothers and sisters, working together towards a common goal. So that's kind of always how the environments that I was raised in and surrounded by with. So I always just saw the benefits of community and wanted to kind of create community wherever I go.
Nice. And in Vancouver, how you been finding life here? You moved, right, to Vancouver?
Yeah. I moved to Vancouver over 15 years ago.
Okay.
Originally from Ontario, lived in Toronto and Ottawa. Ontario people are awesome, by the way.
Oh, we know Drake, so.
Solid. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, so I've been in Vancouver over 15 years, and I really had to work at building community from different social groups that I've had. But Vancouver is definitely one of the tougher places to build community, I would say, because a lot of people are skeptical because you do see a lot of segregation between the different racial groups. And then when this is an ongoing thing, then a lot of people become doubtful as to whether it can change. But I've seen a lot of diversity, especially in universities and especially on film sets. So that was actually really encouraging to see, okay, I am seeing all these pockets of people that were hidden away that I never thought I'd see. And that was really encouraging to, just stay on the course and know that the people are out there wanting to build community as well. It's just a matter of taking the time to find those like-minded people.
Oh, nice. Why move from Ontario?
Well, Ontario is a great place. It's a great place to raise kids. That's why my parents brought us there, for my siblings and I. It's also very much like, Ottawa is very much a government town, and the mindset growing up was very much like, once you graduate high school, you're going to get married, you're going to get a house, you're going to have your kids, the white picket fence, 2.5 kids type of thing. Yeah. And at the time, I just couldn't see that being my life right away. I wanted to be able to think big and to be able to run my own businesses and just delve into the creative arts, which wasn't really encouraged in the community and family that I'm from. And so that's kind of what encouraged me to move across Canada. Basically, move across Canada for the pursuit of entrepreneurial dreams.
All right. And then in terms of entrepreneurial, what industries have you chosen for yourself?
Well, I've dabbled in a couple of things, but to talk about more recently in the arts and entertainment, I've started working on writing and producing and directing. And so I started working on my first low-budget indie, and that's something I'm really excited about. And that's kind of how, I remember we were talking, and then you were mentioning your web series, and we talked about producing a web series together. So these are very entrepreneurial things because at first I was networking in the film industry to be a writer. and I was going around asking, oh, who needs a writer? And can you get my script made? And then it got to a certain point where I realized that I was going to be sitting around waiting for the opportunity for an endless amount of time.
Right.
And once I changed my mindset and decided to create the opportunity for myself, that's kind of when the trajectory kind of changed. And I was now being offered opportunities instead of searching out for the opportunity. So that was pretty eye-opening.
But that's definitely a thing with the entertainment industry. It's either when people make it, they usually say, I was in school and then I met my writer there, I met my producers there, I met everyone there. So in the top is like, I already have my team, right?
Yeah.
And they don't open the door for the next person, but you have to start everyone from the bottom.
You gotta start somewhere. And also, the film industry is a great way to network because you have people from all walks of life, not only in their positions in film, but they also have skill sets from other areas of life. So you could be having just a regular conversation with someone. Next thing you know, you mention something about your life or something about your career. They know somebody who knows somebody, and you might know somebody for something that they need. Next thing you know, you're networking, you're getting job opportunities. I mean, all the film opportunities that I got started through networking in film. Right. So it's great.
That's awesome. And then your indie film, what's it about, if you don't mind us asking?
I don't mind you asking, but I actually can't say it right now.
You don't want to give us spoilers?
I can't give it away, but I can say that it's based on a true story, and it talks about some tragedy, and then it kind of, it's based on a comedy, so it kind of takes the tragedy and kind of puts a fun spin on it so that the audience and the person who told the story can kind of laugh about it. Even though they've gone through hard times, they can kind of look on the other side and be like, well, I'm good now, and it's tough, but everything's good now.
How's been that process of trying to make a film? Like, what have you seen in the journey that maybe you didn't know before you started?
I'd say the process is exhilarating, it's fun, it's rewarding. I'd say what I didn't know to begin with was just the fact of how quickly I could start something on my own. I was kind of waiting around for, like I said, for somebody to give me the opportunity. And in doing that, I did get a couple offers in, but even then, so I was still kind of waiting around for this deadline or for these funds to come in. So having to take the reins on my own and creating my own opportunity basically means I'm starting from scratch. I have to learn every role. Doesn't mean that I'm going to be playing every role, but I need to know how to delegate these roles, and I need to know, kind of how each part plays to create that bigger whole.
And then in terms of film, would you say basically, I guess you're more of a writer? Is there any other department like directing would it interest you?
Well, I discovered recently that I'm really good at making clothes, and I put together 4 collections which I hand sewed, and I showed them at 2 different venues, the Raw Artist Show, and then 3 at the Little Black Dress Gala. The Little Black Dress Gala is an amazing event that they put on, and it's basically to help the youth and homelessness. And so they use that as a fundraising event, and it's a great way for emerging artists, emerging designers to showcase their work. So originally when I was going into the film industry, I thought I would be working in costumes. But because I'm self-taught, they didn't really recognize my skill set to immediately get me into the union. So they said, oh, just do kind of odd jobs here and there. So previous to discovering my skill as a fashion designer, I was a writer. When I was about 10 years old, I remember I wrote a script to a TV show, and I wrote it in my little hand, writing super messy.
Yeah.
And then I mailed it off to the studio. And now that I look back, I was like, I wish I would have told my mom so she could have re-prepared it in a professional manner, so I actually could have been taken seriously. So I always knew that I wanted to be writing. I always knew I wanted to be directing, but it was always something that I thought I would have to kind of wait around for somebody to kind of give me that first lead and role in it. So confidently, I came in networking as a writer, and I asked for a writing job to write a script for a Black Western. And in doing that, that's what kind of led me to the path of discovering that, I don't have to wait around for the writing job. I could write my own, produce my own, and direct my own piece. And so that's kind of how it just all came together. It was something that was already going to happen. It was already meant to be.
Yeah.
I thought it was going to happen later, but it's actually happening sooner than what I thought.
Right. So you're a fashion designer.
Yes.
That's Did you go to Kanye, Italy and stuff?
Yes, I've been wanting to go to Italy, and actually I had a trip planned with my mom to go to Italy before the whole COVID pandemic.
Yeah.
So after that, I was like, I don't know if I'm going to reschedule that, but I really would love to do some fabric shopping in Italy. I really want to check out, even Paris, and maybe go to Central St. Martin and check out some of the like high-end fashion schools. That would be actually a dream of mine, to be able to do a master's at a pristine fashion school. I got skills.
Would you ever collaborate with the man himself, Kanye?
Oh, of course. I'm a huge fan, not only of Kanye as a musician, as a producer, but also with his daring and willingness to, try different things with fashion, and be taken seriously as a fashion designer as well. And I think that's amazing, and I would love to collaborate with him as well as Stella McCartney and so many of the other big name fashion designers.
How would you, if someone woke up, they were frozen like 30 years ago, and asked you, what do people in fashion see? It looks like just clothes, but there's a huge passion. Like I see Kanye stuff. But what's this?
Yeah.
What is it that you guys see that we don't see?
I mean, I don't know if this is true for every designer, but I know that a lot of designers have a message. They have a really strong message, whether it's political, whether it's social. There's usually some sort of message that they want to convey behind the art. And for a lot of people who have that same perspective, that artist perspective, sometimes it's a lot easier for them to see what the other person's trying to present, because it's like, oh, I get it. But for people who don't have that perspective, or have more of a science brain, or just have a total different, have been in different environments, they may not get it, right? Yeah. So there's a lot and also the other thing is, art is always left up to the interpretation of the person, and it's subjective, and for one person might interpret something, one person might interpret something completely different. And even then also taste and what people find is nice and what people like and what people are willing to buy is different as well. Like, no shade to like the high-end fashion designers, but there's still stuff that comes out that I look at and I'm like, I don't like that. Like, I don't think that was well done. I think that it could have had a little more of an editing eye here or there. Yeah. So it's like, even when you're at the top, you're still gonna have people that are still gonna look at you and think, nah, you didn't hit it. Yeah. But usually with Kanye, I think he hits it with the Yeezys and like.
Yeah, really. Yeah.
I get it. I get how he's daring and he's trying to do something different. And for myself, when I design, I don't look at inspiration for the people. My inspiration comes from the environment that I see. It could be a tree, or it could be something I ate, or it could be a conversation I had, and that's usually what's the inspiration for my art. So I can kind of get how he can come up with these crazy things, because he's just so creative and he's trying to do something different.
Yeah, respect. Like, even when I watch runway shows, people are wearing like, that looks like a card box. What the hell?
Yeah.
Like the masterpiece. I saw this. Man, come on, stop it.
I mean, not all of it is wearable.
Yeah.
Some of it's just meant to be art. Like I said, some of it's just a statement piece. They just want to get people gawking, or people thinking, or people, sometimes it's just about creating a conversation. But then sometimes there's a line between what's wearable and what's not, because some people are more daring than others to wear some of these looks. Like, for example, I'm one of those people who's, some of the stuff that's like a cardboard box, I'm not going to walk around with a cardboard box. Yeah. But if you did something different and artsy and you made a different kind of shape or pattern, like, I'd be down to rock that, because I know I can wear it. I've modeled for several years. I've worked those runways, so I have no problem rocking that stuff.
Is there anything you've not done? Wow. How's life as a model? I was like at a fashion thing, and they were dressing them.
Yeah.
Like, this is intense.
Yes.
It's no joke.
It's intense, both as a model and as a designer. Because when you're a model, it's like you have to respect the clothing. You want to make sure you don't rip anything. You don't want to get makeup on it. You want to give your best walk. You want to be on. And then as a designer, you have to manage so many models. You have to make sure all the looks are right. You can't be having the models outfit looking janky. So it's a very intense, fast-paced event. And you spend so many months preparing for that one moment. And then the one moment lasts such a short time, but that's what it's all about.
I volunteered once and I said, I'm not coming back. I felt sorry for those girls. It's like,
But you shouldn't feel sorry for them because they love it. Like if they didn't love it, they wouldn't be there. They're there show after show, giving their time because it's the sacrifices that they make for the art. It's all about the art.
Yeah, because I was there for rehearsals, and you could tell the intensity. Some of the girls were like, confidence was going away because the designer is like specific.
Yeah.
And that's like I don't know, like some of these designers would look down on them because for some girls like that's their first runway. Don't walk like that. I'm like, talk to her. I don't know if that's the language in the industry.
I would say it's pretty disrespectful to talk to a model that way, and it's not really cool to let your stresses get to you so much that you're affecting another person. And like, you have a right to want models to walk the runway. That's why you have practices. That's why you have trainings. That's why you give them constructive criticism and positive and happy mannerisms, not with anger, aggression, or some kind of power dynamic, because that's not a good way to build relationships with anybody. And I don't like seeing that at all. And I think that if the model, you really feel after you try to give them all the best training that you can, if the model still isn't able to do the walk, then you just replace the model. But there's no reason to degrade someone or berate them or to be rude to them.
Yeah, when I was there, I was like, okay.
Yeah, that's not cute.
Maybe I don't know the language of this.
That is not a language.
Industry,
that is some attitude that is not necessary.
Even like they had a choreographer telling them this is how you walk. Then she would get frustrated as well. Like,
I mean, I feel like there's a little bit of sass allowed because you need to have attitude and you need to be confident. But there's a difference between sass and attitude and just being rude. You know what I mean? If you are training somebody and after 10 times they haven't got it, then maybe you're not training them right. Maybe you need to look within and find out like what you can adjust to help demonstrate and help them learn. Because the person should want nothing but for the models to be successful. Yeah. And a lot of models have a hard time building their confidence and maintaining their confidence as it is. So there's no sense in trying to make them feel worse when they're trying to improve themselves.
Right. Another thing that I don't know if it applies to fashion, but I've seen it in film. It's whereby you have a lot of insecurities. Yes. And the power dynamics whereby you have someone power but who are very insecure. Yes. So then they try to like either they'll shout or do whatever to show that I'm powerful, but it's like your position already has power, and how you're acting now is only showing off your insecurities. Like if you're a producer and you're shouting at everyone on set, you can literally fire us. Like no one is here, but then why are you? Or people are trying to make you know I am the producer, I am the director. Like, we know, right? So that's what I don't know if that applies in fashion as well, like
there's always people with big egos who can't control them, and there's always people who are super insecure and who feel the need to like puff up their chest and make everybody see them and hear them. But a lot of times it can come across very unprofessional, and it can take away from the productivity of the work that's trying to be accomplished. And a lot of time it could also show a lot of emotional immaturity, but at the same time, you do have a lot of personalities coming involved when you have these type of things. So it's just really important that the people in the leadership positions are emotionally mature. They're not moving with their egos and stuff like that, so they can set the tone and the pace for the environment of whether it's fashion, whether it's film.
And then with film, how's being a journey being on set? What made you say, I'll be a background, do all this stuff?
Yeah, well, background was one of the things, like background, stand-in work, all that type of stuff. It was basically just a side hustle to try to network to work in the costume department. But then once I kind of saw what the job of the costumes was, I realized I wouldn't actually be designing costumes. I'd be mostly doing more of like stylist type of work where I'd be fitting people, which would be fun. But I don't know if it would be super fun carrying around all the clothes and being under stress and having a boss constantly having these high expectations of me. And in the process of seeing all this is when I'm in holding and I'm writing my scripts and networking and talking to different people. So by the time I networked for the writing stuff and that was starting to take off, I was like, well, this sounds like it's more my vibe right now. So I can still make clothes. I'm still going to work on Collection 5, but I really feel called to make a film and to start making film and to make more content. And yeah, so that's where I'm going to put my heart, where I'm most passionate, because I know I have a lot of skills. There's a lot of things I'm good at, but I'm going to put my focus and passion on the things that I'm most passionate at.
And when you start making films, I know you would need a costume department. Is that going to be an issue in terms of having someone come in and say, "This is how I see this," and you go, "Well, I see it different." Do you think there'll be a conflict there?
I doubt that there'll be a conflict, just because, first of all, I've made tons of friends in the industry who are also fashion designers, and I have made a couple of costume designer friends as well. And, you know, people have a certain style and a certain look that they kind of go for. And usually when you have a meeting ahead of time and you kind of get a vision board, an inspiration board, you can kind of get on the same page and have an idea of what they're gonna present. And so based off of that, I think I would be pretty confident that I would choose the right person that would be most in line with my vision. Whether they have different ideas, I have different ideas, as long as the general vision is in alignment and the standard of excellence is there, then it should be fine.
You don't have problems with these, but you better bring it from day one.
Exactly. As long as they bring it in.
I don't want to
And
discover
it's tasteful, then we good.
And then in terms of, you make music too, right?
Yes.
How's that journey?
So right now, currently, I'm not actually making music right now, because I can only do so many things right now at a time. I would love to be able to be working on a song during the holiday season, but I have to finish the script. So definitely I'm hoping by the spring to at least record one song. Yeah. And then based on how the film goes and how big I create my team will determine whether I can make other songs. But in the meantime, I'm helping other people with produce their songs and produce their music videos. So I helped produce a music video last weekend. That was a lot of fun. There was 3 different artists, 3 rappers from 3 different backgrounds, and they come together. They have a really good vibe. So that was a really fun video to work on.
All right. What drove you into music?
Music?
Yeah.
Well, the long story or the short story. Okay, so basically, I'm sure everyone would say like, oh, I love listening to music growing up, and like I was so into music, and my dad's first record player, I played Stevie Wonder and Michael Jackson, and he played all his African music, and I also got to listen to the radio, so I was listening to classical music, I was listening to rock, I was listening to everything. So I feel very blessed that I was exposed to so many different types of music. But I also have to say that my ex that I dated the one that I moved to Vancouver with, he is a rapper, and so he's kind of got me into the music scene in Vancouver because he was wanting to be managed, so then I went and took this art and entertainment management course at Capilano, so I learned how to manage artists and then contract negotiations and that kind of stuff. And so that's when I started to meet more people in the industry who were more influential. And so that's when I realized, oh, okay, I've kind of got a foot in the door. And then recently I realized, oh, well, I've been trying to help other people. Well, I'm still helping other people with their music for so long. I was like, maybe I should try it. So I actually did record an R&B song and a rap song, which was cute. But like, what I also noticed was that men in, I don't want to talk about all the industries, but in the music industry, for the ones that I've met so far, the producers that I've met, they had a desire to be very controlling, and they weren't very open to respecting my idea and vision. And even though I'm new coming into the game, I still have a strong sense of identity of who I am. And so I wanted to take a step back as well, because I wanted to make sure that I'm very clear on what I want to put out, and that the person who represents me is supportive of that vision. And then also I thought I would really love to put out a rock song as my first song because nobody would expect that. It'd be totally different. It'd be kind of cool, right?
Tough to produce, but yeah.
Well, I got somebody for that. I got a whole other producer for that. Rock producer,
yeah. Rock. It's fun when I see them perform. You know, I cannot hear the vocals. I cannot hear the vocals.
It would be more like black rock.
Yeah,
Alabama Shakes. You know, we're going along that line.
You're not going the crazy AC/DC.
Well, I do love AC/DC and I do love 70s rock, but no, we're gonna go back to like the old school rock. Our people rock. Because we started it, you know what I'm saying? We're picking it back up again, okay?
Facts. In terms of music, who's your favorite musician?
Oh, I have so many. Like, I love Gary Clark Jr., I love Stevie Wonder, I love Kanye West. I love Aaliyah. I'm a Kanye fan. I know that's not a popular thing to say, but I don't care because I've been a Kanye fan since Kanye came out with his music. And it's good music, okay? And you know, the other thing is a lot of people will say, oh, but the things that he says in the media. And I say, well, we know he's struggling with mental health issues, and you were struggling with mental health issues and you had cameras in your face all the time and people try to listen to all your business, you know, you might be a little heated too. You might say a couple things that you might regret that got into the media too. And a lot of times things are misconstrued because they'll take an interview and they'll take a small snippet of it and they'll make a whole huge general statement and everybody will attack off of that one little statement without listening to the entire interview. And I've seen that happen a lot with Kanye, where it's like, I don't want to get into the specific events, but I do remember there's this one thing that he said, and everybody made such a big deal. But then I was like, did you watch the whole video? Because it was taken out of context, and I got what he was trying to say, but I'm not going to try to explain it because unless you watch the whole video, there's no point. It's pointless.
When it comes to Kanye, for me, actually shocking you. I'm more of a fan of the man than of the music.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I like Kanye from like graduation until I remember. I think my last album was Jesus. That's what I'm off the train.
Okay.
But in terms of the man himself, his views, I sit there, I listen to what he's saying, and I do not understand most of it, but I kind of get where he's coming from and the things that he's trying to say, and I feel people really do like they've judged him to say, oh, this is what Kanye is. But then it's like, listen to the things he's saying. I don't know if you watched the Sway interview where he starts going, how Sway?
Okay,
the whole interview was telling Sway, like, if you're going into fashion, right? It's like it's hard to start from zero. And then Sway is saying, but you have money, you're not starting from zero. And then he was saying, well, the infrastructure that's there,
right?
It's easier to get my ideas out using the infrastructure that's there. But then these people will not let me in; they keep me out. And then so he's saying, "Put out money." He's like, "That's a huge risk if I just put out my ideas."
That's true.
And no one buys it, I lose. So when they're having that dynamic, he just got heated.
Yeah,
that's how it ends up. I was like, if Sway had listened to what he was saying instead of just going, but we've got money now. We've got this. Like, listen, don't just.
But also, I have to say, like, I know Kanye West. I know people exactly like Kanye in my own personal life. And so it's so much easier for me not to be judgmental because I've lived with people like that. I know people like that where, you know, maybe they're bipolar, maybe they have some other diagnosis. But 1 minute they're one way, and then by the flip of a switch, they're completely different. And it's so easy to judge somebody like that, but when you know them and love them and they're part of your family, you see it totally differently.
Right, I like it.
I also have to say that another reason why I'm so into the Kanye stuff, especially the gospel stuff, because I actually had a near-death experience in early 2018, and once I was coming out of that, I started listening to Kanye's gospel stuff. Like, I think it was the LA show that he did. I would listen to that on repeat so many times. I don't think I listened to that until last year, but when I think I remember early 2018, that's kind of around the time maybe he was starting to transition into that space. So by the time I heard it 2 years later, I had already been going on this spiritual journey, and I've already been listening to that type of stuff for a while. It kind of helped me through that difficult time. So it's just a reminder for me of like, wow, this person was able to provide something so meaningful to me at the dark time in my life.
That's it. And then which other artists? Okay, you said Stevie Wonder.
Stevie Wonder's on my top for sure.
For real?
That's number one. Yeah.
What's your favorite Stevie Wonder song?
I can't
It's
like
true.
literally,
Okay, what's your
I can't
most
choose.
What's your most played?
I can't even say that because it's just like Stevie Wonder is the playlist, you know?
Yeah.
But also Frank Ocean. Frank Ocean, I love
that's
him.
my guy.
He's really good too. And then Daniel Caesar. He's really good. He's from Ontario. So we're both from, I was born in Oshawa, so technically we're both from Oshawa.
Alright. Explain for me, Ontario folks. How come a lot of successful musicians, actors, they're all from Canada, but
Yes.
they make it in the States? How does that work?
Because you have to, well, you don't have to, but there's a rumor has it that in order to become successful, you, as an international artist, you have to go through the States first, especially like LA. Like for a lot of the actors here, they say, like the Canadian actors, local actors here, they say if you really want to make it big, go to LA, get an agent there, do some auditioning, and then come back, and then you'll be taken seriously. So I guess the tops of the industry in music and entertainment are in the States. It's like LA, they have big push power, you know, to allow you to be seen and to get you those plays, and whatever else they do. Like, I don't know.
I'm not saying Universal has anything to do with Spotify, but just saying. Because, yeah, I've noticed, I don't know what I was doing, I was searching like top entertainers. The names that were coming up were Canadian, like James Cameron, Keanu Reeves.
Yeah.
All the...
You know who's another great artist? Alessia Cara.
Oh yeah,
she's amazing.
Awesome. She helped me go through some tough times.
Oh.
Tough time. I'm gonna mention what those tough times were, but yeah.
We all got our tough times.
The first album was the one that touched my heart.
Oh, she's so good. She's so talented. From the jump off, her first song was so fire.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
She's good.
Represent. She represented.
She was a song. Was it the more one? No, I think one of the main.
You know who else is a great artist?
Who?
Aaliyah.
Oh yeah, Aaliyah is awesome.
I love her. She's so good.
I grew up watching it but not understanding because I was a kid. Like, I don't know what's going on, but then as you get older, like, whoa, this person was actually dope.
Right?
Yeah.
Still relevant, just like Tupac and Biggie.
Oh yeah.
Although most people lean more to one side than the other, I'm always like Tupac, Biggie. Usually people say one or the other. I rarely ever heard anyone say, "Oh, both." No, both. Equally both. Like,
well, it's like you have to choose, right?
Yeah,
When you say Tupac or Biggie, like which side? And it's a shame for me. I'm one of those one side. I grew up with Tupac.
Yeah, me too.
I never really appreciated Biggie until like recently.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. I've always appreciated Biggie. Biggie's dope. No shade to Biggie. Biggie is dope. But coming from the, you know, the human rights kind of background that I had, and I just felt like the way that Pac presented himself, even though a lot of people just see him as a gangster talking about bitches and hoes, it's like, no, there was a lot of good content in there that if you were really listening, you would really hear some things. Okay, you gotta read between the lines sometimes, you know, or listen between the lines sometimes. And I don't know, I felt like Tupac always resonated with me so much deeper. And that's why I'm a Tupac fan for life, okay? Pac, always Pac.
Something else. I remember, because I was growing up, I don't know how this works. It's like, if you listen to Tupac, Biggie was a kryptonite, you know? I'm like, that mindset, I don't even know who gave it to me, but it's like, bro, I mean, my friend was a Biggie fan. So he never listened to Tupac as well. It was just that way.
I was like, you don't listen to the other side.
Listen to the other side. And then when you grow older, you're like, what told us that? Like,
well, there was this kind of rivalry that they had. Well, I don't know if they had a rivalry or if a rivalry was created, but it became fatal. So I think that the impact of that, you can still see if people refusing to listen to the other side of the music because they're so loyal. Yeah. It's like, I still listen to Biggie.
Yeah, the thing is, I was watching Snoop Dogg. It's like, still, they were all friends. I was listening to Snoop Dogg saying we're all friends, and then he shows a video where there's Tupac, Biggie, Snoop on the stage, and they were just having fun, passing the mic. He's like, what happened? He just changed. Like, because I think it was the first time Pac was shot, and then he thought it was Biggie.
Right.
That's when everything changed. But then the timelines,
There's a lot of conspiracy theories, but something don't add up, okay? Something don't add up, okay? I'm not going to be investigating.
Yeah.
But I ain't dumb either, okay?
Yeah, so something happened. It'll come out. The truth always
2
is a funny
plus 2 equals 4, not 34, okay?
The truth is a funny way of coming out, eventually.
It does. The truth always comes out.
Yeah.
The truth shall be revealed. Eventually.
What Pac, do you have a favorite Pac song?
Maybe Dear Mama. Yeah,
that's a good one.
But every song is California. I mean, Pac is so legendary. He's still relevant. You can still play his music and it's still relevant today.
I still do.
Yeah.
I like. There's a thing. Was it Jay-Z that he did with? Oh no, it wasn't. The guy who broke down like the top 5 rappers, and then he goes, Biggie was good with rhymes and this. Then he goes, Pac was the energy. Yeah. It's like Pac could come in and just say, today I brushed my tooth. This. But the energy will catch you like, huh? Yeah. This is poetry. It's like, no, it's not poetry. It's the energy that gets. I wish I had that. That guy, he really like broke down Pac. Like, this is how he does it. Yeah. And you're like, damn, I get it. To this day, Jada is still. I don't know if you follow Jada Pinkett.
Yes, I follow Jada. And the people hating on her too, okay?
Well, those poems are still in her head that he wrote to her, so.
Of course, as they should be.
Yeah.
He's a legend.
Alright, in terms of human rights activism, what's your take on it? Like,
my take is that we're all equal as humans, and if we ever have an opportunity to stand up for justice, then we should. I mean, that's not saying that if you don't, you're a bad person, but how can we create change? I think we can create change by the individual, and the individuals coming together to create community. And when I say the individual, meaning person who, individual person with their own free thought, seeing an environment and then evaluating that environment for it to be safe. And if it's not, or if they see something unsafe, to say something. Rather than that bystander effect where everybody stands around when a person's in danger laying on the floor and says nothing. You know what I mean? And then also the community. When communities come together to fight for other community members, that's how you also create change. And we look out for each other. Because we can't really get through this world just on our own. We need each other. You know what I mean?
And like when you see stuff happening, how does that make you feel? Like I was watching, I brought this up yesterday. I forget the guy. Like the lady who shot this guy, and then she's like, "Well, I want to kill myself now." Like, yeah.
Oh, I didn't see that one.
I'm trying to remember his name. Damn, this is bad. But yeah, she saw her partner is like, I had to take out the bullets from her gun because she felt as if what would happen after, because she killed a black man, but then she's like, I know how the world will react to this. And then they're saying she was justified in doing what she did, but then the question is, why would she like try and commit suicide? But then I guess now we just at a point whereby, I don't know, is it fear, is it what, but people are not really having the real conversation because, if a guy is trying to run away, there are many ways of stopping a car. It's not like, if I'm going to run into the car, you start or do something. But I don't know, like, that's why I ask, like, what's your take on things like that, like police brutality in the States?
Brutality?
Yeah.
Well, regarding to the story you just brought up, because I don't know it specifically, but I do have a comment that sometimes people, because in the courts, they're going to ask, like, did you use a reasonable amount of force? And I think that would be something would be in question, is like, did the person use a reasonable amount of force that was necessary to help them become safer, or did they act a little extra and do something that wasn't necessary, aka shooting somebody who was not a physical threat? I don't know. I don't really know the details of that story. But police brutality is something that weighs heavy on my heart. Especially police brutality against the Black community and against like the BIPOC community, other POCs in the community. It really weighs heavy on my heart because it's like we're in 2021, we're almost finished, we're almost in 2022. We're still having these news reports come in, and these situations come in, and these crimes being committed against our people. And it's just so disheartening because it's like, even when it's like we arrest the cops here and then they get charged, and then the other cops that shot Brianna are let go, and it's just like, what is justice, and when is justice going to occur, and how much longer do we have to endure all this? It does feel very sad, and I can't even watch the videos. Like when they have these videos that says, "Oh, it's graphic," like I can't watch that because it's traumatizing. And it's like, yes, people need to know what's happening, but at the same time, it's like now we're all being traumatized because yes, we do need to know what the reality of the situation is, but it's not good. It's not good. Yeah. And then we also have corruption coming in because a lot of the times when we have this is not to say all racial groups, but sometimes racial groups will take advantage of their own people and they'll receive funds and they won't delegate those funds to the people that are really in need. So that's an issue as well. So we can't just be throwing money at just anybody because we don't know we don't always know where every dollar is going. You know what I mean? But we can't also do nothing at the same time. So I feel like if we had more like town hall type of meetings, like community meetings, where we can start discussing these things and coming up with active plans, because we can't rely on our government to do these things. Like they're busy doing other things that they can't help us with this. So I feel like we as a community need to figure out what we can do and how we can ensure change that is actually happening, and not just create a fund and then that fund goes to our people. It's like, how many of our people were actually helping in what we're doing? How can we create transparency so that we actually know what's actually where these funds are actually being spent, specifically talking about that area. So yeah, it hurts my heart. It hurts my heart. It really does, because I'm able to live in a free world. I'm able to live free. I'm a dark-skinned Black woman, and I've had a pretty good life. Yeah. But then I talk to my brothers and sisters over in the South in the States or in Toronto and in some of the lower income neighborhoods, and they have to fear for their lives. They have to fear that they walk out of their house, they might get shot. And some of them aren't even in bad neighborhoods. Some of them are in nice neighborhoods. And they're still having to fear for their lives. So that's a huge issue, huge problem, and it hurts my heart.
And then, like, what do you feel, I don't know if you read the media. So there was a case that just happened, like the Rittenhouse case, where the guy who went to the Black Lives Matter protest and then shot 3 people. Yeah. And then, so he was just acquitted. But the more the story is coming out, like the media spun it so much to the fact that it made people view this kid as a terrorist. Yeah. But the people he shot were literally attacking him. But I don't know.
It's like, when you get news reports from the media, it's very much written in a way that they want to present it to you, in the way they want you to read it. So it takes a lot of reading in between the lines to try to get information, to try to piece it together, to try to find out what happened from our perspective, which we don't fully know. Yeah. But from what I have heard is that one of the guys who he shot was a rapist, like a child rapist. Yeah. So, I mean, what's the argument there? It's like, should we be giving him a hard time when he killed a known rapist who's raped numerous amounts of children? But then at the same time, what about the other 2 people? What was their history? And what was the circumstance? And were they chasing him, or were they just trying to get him to stop shooting? I really don't know. All I know is that people are so quick to argue with each other. Yeah. And without knowing all the information. You know what I mean? And it's just tough because we don't want to have children, especially white males, as a poster child that they can walk around with guns and do whatever they want.
Yeah.
We also don't want to like make a child feel bad for defending themselves against a known child rapist who was like coming for them.
Yeah.
So it's a really murky area because there's a lot of things that went down and a lot of people were involved and it was a lot of dirtiness involved in there. So it's not a clear-cut answer, especially because there's 3 different murders.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. For me, that one, that's what I just feel like the media. It went off because the way, I don't know, the first headline that I saw was white supremacists killed 3 people at Black Lives Matter.
Yeah.
So that means if you just read the headline in your head, you're like, oh shoot, this kid moved across state lines to kill black people.
Right.
And when you read it, it's like, oh no, there's no black person involved. These people, like one person I know, he had a skateboard, he hit him in the head.
Yeah.
And then
he got shot.
Then he got shot, and then the other one is the rapist. Apparently, I don't know the second one.
And one was a medic, I think. There was somebody who showed up to be a medic. Like
even he was
to give medical
to
give medical assistance to. See, I thought it was a Black Lives Matter protest, and apparently he showed up as a supremacist and opposed to. The thing is, I don't really know whether he is or not.
No, according to Joe Rogan, not me, don't quote me.
Joe Rogan.
Yeah, he went there to protect his friend's business, but he was not involved in the he was just there at the business, right? And then he was helping protesters with medical aid, whatever. And then apparently someone saw the gun, and then the white kid with the gun, and then they started chasing him. So he was running away. But then when they caught up with him, that's when he started shooting.
Oh.
So it wasn't like he just, because the way I saw it was like he just showed up shooting everybody.
Right.
But it's like they literally had to chase him, beat him up with a skateboard, and then he just started.
Yeah. But a lot of people, they'll see a post on Instagram,
and
they'll see the post of him crying with no tears, and then they'll just make a judgment just based off of that one photo, which I'm not saying what they should be judging or not, but I'm just saying people often just take one image or one little article, one little bit of information, and then make a huge judgment off of that.
Right.
And it's just like, it's just insane because we're never getting all the right we're not getting the full information to start with. And we're all going on giving our views and opinions based off a drop in the bucket.
And that's why I have a fight with social media companies. Like, I don't know if you've ever posted anything to do with COVID. They'll put this thing on Instagram this thing has COVID. I'm like, you can pick up. I didn't even say anything.
Oh.
Like, you can just say COVID.
Really?
And then it will say,
you just mention it once.
Yeah, just mention it. It will say this thing has something to do with COVID.
Oh wow.
So they can pick it up. They can pick up anything, basically.
I haven't said COVID in my post because I don't want to.
I know.
But also because I noticed that's another thing people are fighting about. Regardless of what your decision is, whether you choose to be vaccinated or not, I've noticed that the two sides are battling each other like it's World War III. Like, it's kind of intense.
It's the media.
What happens when the dust settles? Then what are y'all gonna do after you stabbed each other in the back?
that's the power of media. I think, I don't know what can happen because we do need freedom of media and stuff, but
yes.
The way they handle COVID, man, it broke my heart. They had a race of countries, death rate. The US is not number 1. This is like, guys, these are real people. It's not elections.
These are actual people.
These are real people
who've lost their lives and whose family are missing them. And there's a lot of people that I've heard who've lost loved ones recently or going through hard times. You know what I mean? So, it's a very sensitive, delicate time.
Yeah, that's what I was just like, I don't know. Well, I'm from Zimbabwe where the media has zero freedom. The government controls it. Whatever information you get, you know.
You know it. You're like, alright.
Alright, cool.
Yeah.
Zero COVID cases. Okay. 5 ministers dead doing the same thing. Okay, cool. No,
sure.
But when I was watching the CNNs and stuff, I'm like, how can you let them do that? Putting a poll. Okay, this state has more.
Yeah, it's a little harsh.
And then you just
drive. A little insensitive.
Yeah, very sensitive.
Right?
It's just driving fear into people.
That a lot of people make decisions based on fear, in general, not even talking specifically about this, but in general, a lot of people make decisions based off of fear. And when you operate from a fear-based mentality...
Oh yeah, I've heard people say I was afraid. You're beating me up.
Don't be afraid.
Yeah, I'm scared. Why did you shoot? I was scared. Like,
yeah.
And how do you view that? Back to human rights. What's the role of entertainment in movies in that conversation?
The role of entertainment in movies, I would say, is to showcase true diversity, you know, and allow POCs to have lead roles, and not just on POC specific projects, but just projects in general. Give equal opportunities to everybody, not just the actors, but in the crew, in the producing, in the executive producing. All the jobs and opportunities should have an equal opportunity for anybody of any ethnicity. Because the reason I say that is I have seen it improve more recently on the acting side, but even as early, was it 2018 when I started getting into film? And I noticed that, you know, predominantly the main roles were given to Caucasians. And when they did have, when talking about the Black community, predominantly I would see the females were all light skinned. All light skinned. Like I couldn't even remember in that time seeing a darker skinned or even medium toned skinned woman in an acting role, or even like forget the lead acting, just even in an acting role. Yeah. So I have noticed that started to change, but I mean I'm gonna keep pushing for that. And when I make my films, I want to see all the colors of life in my films because that represents the world that I live in. Yeah. And that's what I want to see. The world I live in has people of all races and cultures. And so when I make films, that's what I want to see represented in them.
I was listening to Mahershala Ali, and he was saying one challenge you have as a Black lead actor is you are there to act, but you then end up working as a producer as well because you say they give you a scene, they give you the script, and then you say, guys, this is going to be a problem. Like a Black family would not operate this way. Right. This is how you do it. Right. But for him, you're saying the challenge with that is I'm there to be an actor. So when I'm getting my credits, they'll just say lead actor. It will not say and producer. Right. So it's like we have a problem there because the stresses that come with each role, and it's not my job to produce for you. So we also need, it's not just about getting POCs in front of the camera, but we also need them as part of your team. Yes, so that they can pick up those things and get the real credit they deserve, and that's.
And I have seen a couple of POC directors. I've seen a couple of Black directors. I've seen one Black female director. Yeah, I think it was on Siren. She was super awesome, and I see a lot of female directors, which is great, but. Yeah, we definitely need to have more representation of ethnicity, of POCs, in the crew as well, and in the producing, executive producing, directing, ADs, all that. They all need to have a voice because it can help tell a more real and true story rather than just from a narrow-minded perspective.
It's sad. I don't know, sometimes I'm seeing things, I'm just like, no. Ain't no Black people gonna do that.
Oh, like what? Ain't no Black people gonna do what?
Like, whatever is happening.
Wait, what?
Like, I'm trying to think of a situation what did they do? It's like with guys, like, I don't know if you've noticed, but it's always, guys should be clean shaven, should have certain form. I'm like, I know a Black man. The one thing very particular about his hair. Yeah. You don't just whatever you want. But when you try to express that to them, it's like, no, this is what the role is. I'm like, yeah, but this is not who the people are. Yeah. Culturally, you don't mess with the Black man's hair because there's so much pride in that. People take years to have their beards.
That's true.
And then you just say to them, clean shave. It's like, why?
And the other thing is I noticed that a lot of Black men have really sensitive skin, and they can't just take a regular cheap razor to straight. Yeah. No, they have to have like the electrical thing, and they have to have like the sharpened equipment, and they have to like exfoliate. It has to be like a whole process. Otherwise, they're gonna get bombs. So it's like, I think that these are types of things like not a lot of people understand, and especially for Black women as well. And when you go to the hair department, and they're trying to like get all up in your hair and like putting all these chemicals, and it's like, excuse me, but that's actually gonna do more damage. Dry it out. We're gonna have hair falling off. Like, we can't be using that. And I think that some sets you have people understanding, especially if they have like a Black lead hair person, like key hair, to kind of help educate, or people who've had the proper training and education. But it does become frustrating sometimes. And there was an incident where I did have to tell a lady that she was not allowed to touch my hair because she was coming at me with very rude language. And the other thing is like, our hair is very sacred, yes. We spend a lot, it's very spiritual to us as well.
Yeah.
And I think for a lot of us consider like bad energy can be put into our bodies, even if somebody touches us, like touches our hair. If we just freshly washed our hair, we put the oils and everything. We got the good voodoo going. We don't want no bad voodoo. You can't be coming here with some negative energy. Oh, let me get up in your head. No. It's also very sensitive too. So that's why we got the protective styles. Like, you can't just be straightening it with a hair straightener 5 times, 5 passes. The hair's gonna fall off and break. Like, just our hair is resilient, but also we have to do a lot to take care of it. So I totally get what you're saying. Like, yeah, that's a sensitive subject. Sensitive subject.
New production house, new studios, talking to you. Watching. But then sometimes, coming back to my people, I have to be very critical. When we are given the opportunities, we have to deliver good products. Like, sometimes you see on a set where it's black folks and stuff, and then the end product, you're like, oh my God.
When you're saying end product, are you talking about their acting?
Not the acting, but the whole thing, like the whole film.
Right. Because the whole film falls on the producers.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because they came up with the vision, they hired out the director, boom, like everything has to be in alignment. If the actors aren't given a good performance, I actually would blame it on the producers and the director, because it's like, did you not watch that tape back? Did you not take 10 takes for each thing? Did you not see how bad that performance was? Like, you could have fixed it up somehow. Sometimes maybe you try your best and you still end up with talent that doesn't perform to the level of your expectation. But at the end of the day, the overall project falls on the people leading the project. And the people leading the project are usually not the actors, unless those actors are also producers as well.
Yeah, because I was watching, what's it called, Batwoman?
Yeah.
It's mainly, the lead is black, everything is black. And this critic was saying, the actress is phenomenal.
Yeah.
The show is crap.
I wouldn't doubt that, because I've been on the Batwoman set and I've seen the actors in action, and they are good. They're giving it their all. They're so I was believing it. I was oh shit, you're on set. Yeah. So I think I'm not gonna dispute that. Yeah.
I was like, because the guy he literally breaks it down. It's like, they have one line dialogue. So like, I just ate cheese today. Oh, you did.
Not always. The last that I was on, there was this guy with purple hair, and I think he was like playing a Joker. Because I haven't watched the show, but he was wearing, I think he was like the Joker, and he gave a phenomenal performance with a 1-minute dialogue. It was so good. I was like, the thing is, I realized sometimes you have too many cooks in the kitchen. Too many cooks in the kitchen with too many opinions, and then everything gets lost in the sauce. And sometimes people will have this huge budget and spend all this money, and then they'll have special effects, and then they'll realize, they need to put money somewhere else, so then they'll take money from the special effects budget, and then now that just ruins the whole thing because the special effects look like shit. Yeah. You know what I mean? So I think that I'm really excited to do indies for that reason, is to know that I have full creative control, and that I can really, hopefully, be a real critical eye to myself to figure out how I can improve without having the opinions of so many different people and so many expectations, because they gave me all this money, you know what I mean? Yeah. So I can really develop myself as a director, and I feel like that's a great opportunity, because too many cooks in the kitchen, you can end up with a lot lackluster performances, like lackluster films and TV shows.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure a lot of people can agree. Not everything that's coming out is great.
How are they getting funding for this?
Yeah, like, how are they still making another season? Like,
Yeah.
because that last one, I was sleeping through half of it. I couldn't even make it through the 5th episode.
That's a good old. What is it? That's a good old boys club. It's fun. Oh, that's who and whose son. Okay, funding.
Yeah. A lot of the times it's who you know, and if you have a big resume as an actor, then you will be looked at as somebody that can help promote the film or help promote the show.
Yeah.
Because I had some advice from somebody, a friend of mine, who suggested that I start looking for my number ones, like my lead actors who can help me promote. And that kind of helped me change my plans as well, because before I was like, oh, let me look at my friends and look at this. And they're like, no. My friend was like, no, you need to get a casting director. You need to filter them through the casting director. I thought about it. I was like, you know what? You're right. We're going to do that, yeah. We're going to keep it legit, not making any promises to anybody. No, not promising any acting roles.
Oh yeah, we had a guest here. She's also like a producer. Yeah. And she was telling me, like, there's this software that where you go, you put in your movie, and then you put in your actors, and it sort of like predicts how much your movie will make based on the person that you're picking as your lead actor. Okay. So she's like, if you put Denzel Washington, it'll make this. If you put Kevin, okay, we're gonna need a lot of marketing budget for this one. Like, it's interesting, like what goes on behind the scenes.
Right.
Sometimes some of these things that they do fund, I'm like, no, babe, no.
I know some of it's very questionable, and the money could have been put somewhere else and it be made to better use somewhere else, for sure.
Especially
not going to name specific names, but I'm sure you can think of some. I can think of some. We've been on several productions.
Netflix.
You know, Netflix has a critically acclaimed section. Did you know that?
Really?
Yeah, I was shocked. My mom told me when I went to visit recently. I was like, Netflix. She's like, no, did you know Netflix has a critically acclaimed section? I was like, I'll check it out. Yeah, there's a couple of good things on there, actually, on Netflix. I mean, on the critically acclaimed section.
Well, I guess the challenge in Netflix, well, I don't know how it, but what I think how it works is you make your own thing, and then they'll buy out your film. Yeah. So usually your budget is based on you, compared to like Amazon, where they pay you for the idea.
Right.
And then you have the creative freedom to develop it with a proper budget.
Right, which is funny to me because Netflix had a pitch day, and they were accepting pitch ideas from like 3 different categories. And I submitted 2 different pitches. So Netflix never had intentions of... Because I saw a couple Westerns out there, and I was wondering. I was like, did you... You could have just... No.
Did you watch The Harder They Fall?
No, I haven't seen that yet. Is it good? Did you like it?
Yeah, I liked it. Okay. I like the storytelling.
I'll check it out.
What about Kevin Hart's True Story?
I just saw that. I saw it last night.
You liked it?
I binged it. I thought it was pretty good. I liked to see Kevin in a non-funny role, right? Even though he was still playing comedian, it wasn't like a funny role. I thought he did a good job. I loved Wesley Snipes.
Yeah.
I love seeing him. I was like, I haven't seen this guy in a movie in a long time.
Not think of him as what? Blade?
Blade,
yeah. He finally moved on. I had beef with that movie.
Why?
I felt like they started out as a movie, and then in the middle of it, they're like, let's turn it into a series. Because the character, the kid, Kevin Hart's character, like, we're not really introduced to him, like, what's his backstory.
Oh, I see what you mean.
So I don't know if I was watching from a critical eye, where I was like, you cannot just go from comedian to you kill 2 people in the first 2 episodes, and we have no idea of what's your background. Do you have anger issues? Do you have what? I felt like they really didn't introduce his character to be like for the audience to feel we have knowledge of where he's coming from. If we knew yet, because his brother was the killer, right? Was the murderer.
Well, not exactly. I mean, do we want to spoil it on here? Because
no, I don't know. No.
Did you watch the whole thing?
Yeah, I watched the whole thing.
Okay, because I would say they both did bad deeds. Yeah, but I liked that it was at first I was like, oh, this seems like more like a movie, but then I kind of liked that it was a series because I could see how they needed more time to tell the story.
Yeah.
Like the story, they really needed to get into it, and there was layers to it, and then there was betrayal involved, so they kind of had to play the betrayal out. I felt like I had a hunch about the betrayal, but I felt like they didn't really leave too many hints. You know, sometimes they foreshadow in stories, and you kind of know the betrayal's coming.
Yeah.
I feel like they didn't really do that with this.
Yeah.
So it's like, I knew it was going to happen, but it was like, I just knew it because I figured, how else? Like, there's got to be something going on. But I feel like they didn't really foreshadow that, though.
Yeah, that's why I was going with black people. We make things need to deliver. Tell me a good story. Like, hook me. Don't make me be critical from episode 1.
Right.
Because, like, I don't know if you watch Squid Games.
No.
So, Squid Games, how it starts, it goes, what the hell? Like, that's the episode 1.
Yeah.
And then they start breaking down, like, how did we get to episode 1? And then they introduce the main characters. They tell you the story, like, this guy comes from here, this guy comes from there. This is what has led to this character acting in this way. Right. Which I thought was not there, because we knew his brother was in jail. Right. Then he's out. Right. Like, okay, that's the link with the gangsters jail. Okay. Right. He's a famous comedian. And then I feel like Kevin, or whoever wrote the story, assumed everyone knows Kevin Hart's real story. So they can now just...
Yeah, because I was like, wait, did this actually happen? This is called true story. And I was Googling it. It's like, oh, it's not actually true story. I was like, but is it though?
that was just my thing. I was like, they made a lot of sense. It's a good thing. He acted. He did his job.
I think he did it. I think they did a good job.
It's just me.
But I can see from you being critical on the production aspect.
Yeah.
Of the story not being fully complete and then not telling the audience, giving the audience a full picture. Yeah, I can see that for sure. But it's like, I feel like most of the stuff that's out, there's always a little something that's off.
Yeah.
You know? Like,
did you watch Candyman?
No. I'm behind. I'm behind on the movie watching.
It had a lot of hype, but yeah, that's enough. I don't know. I feel like now I just watch movies from this.
Yeah.
Man, y'all missed that. Like, I felt with Candyman, they had an opportunity to do something bigger than what they ended up delivering. Yeah. Candyman, it's spooky. Like, scare me.
Okay, have you seen Guava Island?
No, not
with Rihanna and Childish Gambino? No. Ooh, you gotta see that. Oh, it's good. I love it because it reminds me of, you know those like old school African movies from the 70s? It was like that, but then retold with another story. Yeah, the visuals. It was really cool. I liked it. It was like a little short film, but it was really... Well, it wasn't like a short film, but it wasn't like a full length.
Did what's his name, Childish Gambino, write it?
I think he wrote it, yeah, and he starred in it. It's funny, but it's like, yeah, no, it's good. I really like it. He did a really good job with that. Yeah, he's really talented.
Alright, now we'll move on to a section where I ask you questions written by a 7-year-old. So, the first question is, for what in your life do you feel most grateful?
I feel most grateful for my health and my spiritual connection to God.
Are you a Christian or?
Yes, I am.
Which church? But yeah, you don't have it. In Africa, where you go. Which church did you go to?
Oh, yeah. I don't really associate myself with one specific church. I have a couple of churches that I pop in and out of every now and then. Like most of the time, I just have I have my own personal relationship with God, and I pray on my own time, and I have my own gospel sessions at home in my room, which, you know, this is what it is.
All right. If you could change anything about the way you were raised, what would it be?
The only thing I would change about the way that I was raised, I would say, because my dad was super strict, and I really loved the fact that he was super strict because, you know, I came out pretty decently. But I think that there was a lot of, like, fears that parents have, especially as immigrants coming into a new country and then being unsure. But I think some of those fears were kind of projected onto us kids, and it affected myself and my siblings in different ways. And, you know, it would have been nice not to have that. I would say that's pretty much one of the only things I can think about, really. And yeah, because I would say my parents did a pretty good job, and I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. So a little less fear programming, we good.
You're not a serial killer, so that's good. What is the greatest accomplishment of your life?
The greatest accomplishment of my life would have to be, I would say, things that I've accomplished in my career. Because if I had kids, I would say the greatest accomplishment of my life is kids, but I don't have kids yet.
Yeah.
And so I would say the things that I've done in my career, basically living life with no glass ceiling and not thinking of perspective of, well, I'm a woman, so I can only do this or that, or I can only go so far. I can credit my parents that they kind of raised us with like a gender neutral perspective where they were telling us as we were young, like, you can be whatever you want to be. You could be a doctor, you could be a lawyer, you could be a fireman, whatever you want to be. To my brother, you can be a ballerina if you want. You can play in the NBA, like whatever it is you want to do, you can be. And that was really helpful because, I didn't have the gender constructs. I didn't have this idea like I can only do this. It's pretty much sky's the limit. Whatever I want to do, I can do. Pretty much. That's always been my mentality.
Yeah. What do you value most in a friendship?
I would have to say, your 7-year-old nephew asked this?
Yeah.
He's a smart kid. He's asked some real life questions. I love this. I actually value loyalty. And the reason I have to say this is because I'm a Leo. So as lions, our number one trait is loyalty. And when we are in relationships, whether it's a friendship, whether it's romantic, a partner, whether it's family, I don't know if I can speak for all Leos, but I can speak for many, that we give 1,000% loyalty. We go above and beyond, sometimes too far. Yeah. And I think that all we ask back in return is just, just the basic amount of loyalty, the basic. So I feel like, I value respect, I value trust, I value. But at the end of the day, if you ain't loyal, I can't ride with you. You ain't gonna be in that inner circle. Like, I got day ones who've been loyal since day one and have set the standards so high, and they're not even Leo. So you gotta be loyal.
My thing is,
loyalty.
Anyone who's ever messed me up has been Leos. That's the one thing they all have in common.
Wait, what? You've been messed up by some Leos?
Messed me up was born in August. Except my mom. I don't know why.
Wait, what?
My mom is a Leo as well.
Who are these? Are these like your ex-girlfriends?
Ex-girlfriend.
Okay, well that's not fair. Because my ex is a Leo too, so.
Damn. No, I do have people like scraps it, but Leos is like they know how to make sure.
Leos are fiery. If you get the right Leo, it's golden. That's your ride or die right there. If you get the right kind of Leo, that is your ride or die. I will tell you.
Oh yeah, that's true. That's the feeling I had until it's time to die. You're like, shit.
Well, I mean, your mom, she's a Leo. So
yeah, my mom is a Leo.
She's a ride or die, isn't she?
Yeah, she is.
There you go. So you already know.
I'm on the other side. Damn.
But
pretty cool. Then the next question: what does friendship mean to you?
Friendship is everything to me. Because, sometimes there's certain things that you certain experiences that you have that your family's not there, or that you don't really want to tell your family.
Yeah.
But then you have your friends who are non-judgmental, loving, and caring to go through these experiences with you, and you can go through their experiences with them.
Yeah.
And it's just such a bonding thing to have, people, like-minded people by your side you can go through life with. And you're still your own independent person, but it's so nice to have like-minded people in your life that you can trust, you can hang with, you can laugh with, you can build each other up. I mean, friendship is everything.
What's something people seem to misunderstand about you?
Oh, I can tell you that. Okay, so I think the number one, because I think I get misunderstood a lot, being a strong, independent Black woman. But I think that I really do get misunderstood a lot, especially having a strong personality and being very assertive. I've had people tell me that I'm too strong, that I'm too assertive. And I think that a lot of the times when it comes to men, I feel like there's this misunderstanding of like the power dynamic, and that a lot of men, when they see a strong woman or an alpha female, they they misinterpret what the energy that woman is trying to come across, and they sometimes are threatened by it. But I think that they should only feel empowered by that type of energy. You know what I mean? Because, so yeah, I think that in terms of being misunderstood, sometimes I get misunderstood that my strength is sometimes seen as a weakness to others, which to me is a complete misunderstanding, because to me my strength is one of my greatest strengths. I'm mentally strong, I'm physically strong. I mean, to me that's an asset in any room I walk into. So
well, people don't like it.
Some people don't like it, some people are threatened, some people can't handle it. Some people want me to be weak. It's not gonna happen, okay? Get over it.
My statement, like, I don't have to kneel down for you to feel tall. Like.
Exactly. And the thing is, I'm pretty tall, so there'll be a long way down to go. Okay, let's keep it real.
Do you know, like, but I feel you. Okay, if you could turn back the time and talk to your 18-year-old self, what would you tell her?
I would tell her, don't waste time without setting intentions. Whenever you enter into a relationship, whether it's romantical, whether it's a friendship, any kind of new relationship you enter, set intentions and try to gauge the intentions of the other person, so to make sure that they're in line with your intentions. Because I feel like that would have saved me a lot of stress, a lot of drama from people that I interacted with that were not actually like-minded. You know what I mean? I think that would be the best advice I could give myself. Save yourself a lot of time. You could have stayed at home. You could have traveled the world for the time you spent with some of these people. You know what I'm saying?
Don't throw your clothes at swines.
There you go.
Okay, this one's a bit long. What's the most important thing you've learned in your life? What was your life like before learning it? What was your life like after learning it?
I'd say the most important thing I've learned in my life is to always be humble. Stay hungry, but stay humble. You know, because even when you've reached to that next space in life or place in life that you wanted to reach to, sometimes it might feel like, oh, that's the time to get comfortable. That's the time to start, dusting my shoulders off, start boasting to people what I got. It's like, no, because it doesn't matter what you have, you still have a lot to learn. And material possessions is not what makes a person. So yeah, I would say the most important things is always stay hungry and always stay humble.
The words of Steve Jobs: stay hungry, stay foolish. Something. Google the speech. What is the best compliment you have ever received?
The best compliment I ever received was when somebody told me that they hated me because I was too strong and too assertive. Like, remember the example I just brought up? Yeah. This literally happened a couple days ago, where somebody told me, I don't like you because you're too strong of a woman. And your tone, it's too assertive. And to me, that was the biggest backhanded compliment I've ever received. Because for me, that is one of my greatest strengths. Yeah. So I was like, the fact that somebody's telling it to me and they think that they're insulting me, but they're actually complimenting me. Yeah. I was like, you thought you could bring me down with your negativity, but actually, I've been uplifted.
Yeah. Thank you. You have confirmed what I wanted to know.
Confirmed what I already knew. So thank you. So thank you to that person. You know who you are.
What is, right, I should change the wording of this, but what is your biggest failure and what did you learn from it?
My biggest failure, I can tell you right now, is putting another human on a pedestal and, giving my life, and this is my past relationship, and putting them first, giving all my life and dreams and hopes and putting all my eggs into that one basket. Not to say, I do like monogamous relationships, but I think I gave too much of myself that I wasn't putting enough energy back into my own self. And I also put somebody else on such a high pedestal that I created expectations that they were not able to fulfill. Right. So going forward now, I know it's like the only person you should really place that kind of expectations on is yourself and in God. Because only God, I believe, can truly lead you to that place and will be able to fulfill your expectations to the highest degree.
I agree. I used to do that as well. Mm-hmm. But you grow up.
Yeah. Lessons learned. Sometimes you gotta learn the hard way. You're like, ooh.
Start moving. Okay. doing that.
Yeah.
And then, what advice would you give to someone wanting to pursue, not a career similar to yours, but like someone who looks up to you? What advice would you give them about life, career, business?
Well, I know my nephews look up to me, so the advice I would give to somebody who's thinking about, I don't know if my nephews are thinking about their careers or anything. I have 6 nephews, by the way.
Okay, I'm coming. I have 2.
Yeah.
I'm following you.
So, yeah, I would say, but general advice is trust your gut, trust your instinct, and don't be afraid to try. I think that a lot of people are stay in the comfort zone, which is like a box. But I think real life begins the moment that you step outside of that box, the moment you step outside of the comfort zone, the moment where you start to feel a little bit uncomfortable. That's when you know you're in the right spot. That's when you know you got to keep going. So that's the advice I would give is follow your dreams, follow your passions. Don't worry about what somebody else thinks. Well, I don't know if that's good for you, or I don't know if you're suited for that. If you think you're suited for it, if you're willing to work hard in it, if you're passionate about it, then that's all that matters. Because you're much better off being in something that you're passionate about rather than just being in something just to get by. And sometimes you do need just to get by, to get to the passionate thing.
Yeah.
But you don't want to get stuck in that. Yeah.
This advice for me. Thank you. What are the 3 people who have been the most influential to you?
Ooh, 3 people who've been most influential. I mean, I would definitely have to say my parents, which is 2 right there.
Yeah.
Because I feel like I'm half of my dad and half of my mom, and I carry on their strength, and I see myself as a woman, but also as a personality that's not attached to a woman or a man, because I have traits from my parents that I've now taken on as my own, and now I'm this whole new person taking the best traits of both my parents. So I find them already to be super inspiring people. So the fact that I can look at them and see them as huge influences in my life for my entire life, even to this day, is just wow, it's amazing. And then the other person I have to say is also somebody really close to me, my brother. My older brother, huge influence. He's more of like a science brain and I'm more of an arts brain. And we're very much have like a yin and yang relationship, friendship, brother-sister vibe. And I feel like I can see a whole new world just from looking at the world through his eyes. And I feel like he gets to see a whole other world looking through my eyes. So I find that really inspiring because as somebody with more of an arts brain, it's hard for me to understand certain things about the world of science and the science brain.
Yeah.
But seeing it through his eyes, it's like, oh, wow. Not only is he super intelligent, he's an accomplished, very successful Black man. And, he's a computer engineer. He's a successful father. He's just such an inspiration. And yeah, he's definitely one of the most inspiring people to me.
Shout out to the family.
That's right.
She's on influenced by you. Shout
good
out.
stock. Yeah,
That's
we come
awesome.
from good stock.
All right. And is there any question that I did not ask you that you'd have liked to be asked?
I mean, you covered so many things, and I could answer any question. Any question you come for. If you had another 5 set of questions, I could answer those too. So I think you did an amazing job. You asked a well amount of questions, diverse. We got into. We had different kind of topics, different conversations. I thought it was great. Yeah, no, I think you did a great job. I think you asked tons of questions. If you have anything else you'd like to ask me, I'd be happy to answer. But I think you covered.
We have a final one.
Oh, okay.
This was written by my 5-year-old.
Oh, okay.
He asked me to first ask you, do you have any questions for me?
So how are you enjoying the podcast?
Podcast life. It's fascinating how, because this standard questions, how many different answers I get from people with different backgrounds.
Right.
And somehow, what would you tell an 18-year-old? So that one is always similar. The answer that people give, do this. The funniest one I got was save money, don't spend money.
Yeah.
Okay. But I found you get to see people's views and everyone has a different perspective and they're all coming from different backgrounds. Most of my friends before this were just black folks. But now I have like diverse people say, oh, I'll come to your podcast. Like someone would never talk to me. Like, oh, yeah, cool, I'll come do it. And then you talk to them, you're like, what I thought of you?
Yeah.
What you're saying. Completely different. And then that has taught me not to judge people and not hold, like, a statement I've made was, I have an idea of you and then there's who you are.
Right.
And I have to be able to shut that idea that I have of you, listen to what you're saying. And like, whoa, I was completely wrong. And it's helped me with myself as well. Like, this is some of the advice people give. Like, oh yeah, I needed that. I didn't see that. Now I see it. So it's been fun. It's fun hearing people's stories and just being like, okay. And then sometimes you're just going, okay, don't say that.
So was there anything that I said that was surprising to you about my personality or things I've gone through?
The fashion, like you wanted to be in costume. I'm like, what?
Okay.
like in my head it was going, huh?
Yeah.
No one ever says that. Like unless they're already in costumes. Because I was talking to like when I'm on set ladies in costume, they're like, oh my goal was to always be a fashion designer. So what are you doing here? Oh, I joined this because I thought when you do it you get to design, but you then get work under. So why are you doing it?
Right. And that's why I actually feel so grateful to be able to do little side hustle type of jobs in the film industry, because then you get to observe all the roles and you can really see which ones you think you'd actually be suited for. Because you have an idea of what you think the role is, but then when you're actually on set, it's a whole different ballgame.
Yeah.
Right?
And
so we get to see all that. We get to see everybody in their element, their positions, and
what
different from production to production as well, because it's obviously not always the same. But generally, we have a good idea of what's going on.
And on set, I feel like sometimes I'm going to get... Because I'm the type of guy who just go, so why are you doing this?
I love that.
I'm like, you can be that.
Yeah.
Whatever you set out to be, but then it's going to take a little bit of work, but you don't have to settle for a job, right? Like, you see people angry. I'm like, someone will be catering. I'm like, come on. If you love making food... you shouldn't be getting upset. It shouldn't be upsetting you. But if you're doing this to pay rent, I can see where you're coming from. But take time to just speak to yourself and say, this is me. Yeah. I'm gonna do me. Because I think it was Joe Rogan as well. It was like everything pays. People often assume like whatever you want to do, it doesn't pay. It pays, but it's a matter of putting in the time, doing the work, whatever. It might take 2 years, it might take 5 years, it might take 10 years. But if you're doing it and you enjoyed it, that time it goes through pretty quick. Even if the costume thing, if that's the path to becoming the costume designer, yes, it might suck, like putting clothes on people. Right. But then at least you have an idea of, okay, if I do this for 2 years, then it will put me in this position, which is putting me in the position I want to be in. So I don't think you'll be there going, just wait. And also it requires planning. Like you have to plan yourself into success. A lot of people get to the first position and they sit there and like, well, what's next? Where's the next? Why am I not getting promoted? It's like, well, you gotta promote yourself. You gotta create opportunities for yourself. You gotta prove to yourself that you deserve to get to that next level. You can't just get to one place and be complacent and expect to achieve success. You know what I mean? And if you don't step out of your comfort zone, the chances of your life changing is not very high. Yeah, that's my thing. Even when I'm speaking background, someone's like, I've been doing this for 40 years. I'm like, wait. 30 years? What? 30 years? Yeah, people are telling since the 80s have been doing that's crazy. You had no ambition at all to do something else. Right. But then I've learned that you should not be asking people their level of ambition, because someone is just like, hey, some people, this is it for me. I talked to a guy in Holding, super funny, super talented, and I asked him, well, what's your goal? What were you doing before this? And he says, oh, I was a stay-at-home son. I was like, stay-at-home son? Yeah. I was like, and what is your purpose in life? He's like, purpose? What purpose? It's like, so some people, the film industry is a great place to be complacent, and it's also a great place to launch. Yeah. You know, it's all up to you. Whether you want to be complacent, whether you want to launch, whether you want to use it as a means to an end, whether you want to use it as a career building opportunity, you know, to each his own. Yeah. That's that statement, don't throw your pearls to swine. I'm learning. Yeah. Not just like, okay, this is your life. Definitely not. You can't stress yourself. Okay, here's the final question. This is by a 5-year-old. What is the meaning of life?
The meaning of life. I can't believe a 5-year-old asked that. That is so cute. I feel like kids are smarter than most adults. I feel like the meaning of life is different to each person. It's left up to the interpretation of the individual. And I can't say that I know the full meaning of life because I'm still young and I still have a lot of life to live. But the meaning of life that I've discovered so far is to live with intention in genuine ways, and try to be your best. I think that's the meaning of life because when you move in those ways, then you can have a fulfilling life. And having a fulfilling life is having a meaningful life. And so, yeah, that's what I would say.
All right. And for a question from me, you seem to be on intention. From what I'm hearing, you're very intentional about every move you make.
Yes.
Was it something you were born with, or is it something you had to learn that I have to be intentional with my moves? Like, was there a thing that made you become that? Or?
I'd say that my parents were pretty good at having family meetings when we were little kids and teaching us, you can be entrepreneurs and you can do whatever you want in life and you got to be a self-starter and But I think that moving to Vancouver away from my parents forced me to grow up sooner than I probably would have. And I kind of had to find my own coping mechanisms of life in order how to figure out not only how to survive, but to also thrive.
Right.
So I would say some things I was able to figure it out quickly, like getting into the career, it was really easy for me to find a career and be successful at that. But then when it came to relationships, I wasn't as successful at that because I hadn't set my intentions before the relationship, so I ended up with a person who wasn't compatible. So I think that nowadays I'm a lot more in balance and having intentions set in every area of my life. So I've always knew about setting intentions, but now I'm just more aware to set those intentions in every area of life to have that balance and stability.
Good. Mr. Apidi, thank you. Any last words for the people?
Well, I hope you guys enjoyed, and it's been a pleasure, Kevin. And
right.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much. All right, guys. I'll see y'all next week.